Welcome to Ladies of Another View. I'm back, and we are here in Castleton, North Dakota for our My Hometown segment. And I'm here with Melissa Beach, who is the Economic and Development Director for Castleton. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Patty, and thanks for being here.
Oh my gosh, I love Castleton, and I want to say that as soon as I set foot into Castleton and I stayed at the Governor's Inn, that my impression has been so positive. I have said to people, I don't think there's any crabby people in Castleton. Everybody smiles and is friendly. So how about you tell us about the story of Castleton? Why is it such a vibrant community?
Sure. Well, I'm glad you had a great first impression, and that's kind of fun to know that people are having good experiences when they come into the community. But I think it's interesting, Castleton is not too far outside of Fargo, and so we have a real mix of people that come from other places or that have grown up here, and it really makes it a really dynamic community. There's a lot of energy, there's a lot of young families. Kind of interesting is that our average age is 35, so a very young community. Yeah. But we've seen a lot of growth and a lot of potential for the future. And so we just think that it's a really fun community. And I think that you're right, the people are great. And I'm glad that you had a great experience.
You have a lot of building projects too, which, small towns, there's a mixture of what's happening in North Dakota. One thing that seems to be true everywhere, great people, hardworking people. But tell me about some of the building projects.
Yeah, we have some really exciting things going on. So the building that we're broadcasting from is actually being renovated for a business. Kind of an interesting story. There's a business owner that owns a couple of properties downtown, and she's helping some young entrepreneurs to get started. So renovating the building for them, renovated the building next door to them also for another young entrepreneur. So a really interesting mix of kind of experienced business owners and others that are coming together to redevelop certain projects. Just in the last year, we've seen about 10 redevelopment projects downtown alone. So for the size of the community, that's a really a big deal. But certainly a lot of growth throughout the community, closer to the interstate as well, where our industrial park is, a lot of new building, a lot of new activity, and land is becoming limited. So we're really seeing that land moving, and it's exciting to see these projects coming forward.
And you really are accommodating both the young. 35 is the average age. It's pretty young, so you have a lot of young families here. But then you have the older generation, too, that are fitting in here, right?
We do, and that's kind of the fun character of the community is that we see a lot of volunteerism from our folks that are retiring. They're really actively engaged in different groups and providing a lot of leadership, too. So I think that's a real asset that we have the young folks that are coming in and active with the school and the churches, but still have that really dynamic senior group also.
Well, you mentioned that the business owner that is helping other younger business owners, I would like to say Kathy Nelson, right? Isn't that her name?
Yeah.
And she is the owner of Casselton Drug.
Right.
And she's one of our sponsors for the show. And also, so she's bringing in some florists. And then next door neighbor, she has Z's, is it Pub and
Grub?
Grub,
yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, another great young person, 22 years old.
Yeah.
And went to culinary school, and he owns his own restaurant now.
Yes.
But through the help of others. And so the community is really pulling together to make it work. Right. Otherwise, young people might not be able to just jump into a new business like that.
Right, and it is scary. And when we have entrepreneurs that have experience and they want it for the community, they want some of those additional services and offerings. And it's just been so fun to watch them work together and see how that shapes up for the community.
Are you getting people moving from outside the area? Are they coming back home? Like, what's going on here with the growth?
Yeah, definitely. I think there are a lot of those stories in the community, Patty, that people are coming back. They maybe have grown up here and they've gone away for a while, and they're bringing their families back. And I think that's one of the real assets is the school district and the amount of growth that has happened there. But people just want that experience, that small town feel for their kids so that they can be involved in activities. So it's really fun. People that grew up here and others that just see themselves, in the community of this size. It's been just a lot of activity coming in.
And how far are you from Fargo?
About 15 minutes.
15 minutes. And so a lot of times you see that people will say, oh, it's a bedroom community. But it really isn't. It goes both ways.
Right, definitely.
Because people come in here from Fargo to work, as well as sometimes people are going into Fargo. They're going to Fargo to work or coming here. So it goes back and forth, and so it seems like they complement one another.
Yeah, definitely. And the sprawl is coming further out of West Fargo. So, but you're right, we see so many commuters going both directions. So it's really an asset having the community this close to the metro.
As the Economic Development and Community Director, what is your role for the community? How are you fostering a lot of the growth and enthusiasm?
Sure. Well, some of our efforts are really trying to make a soft landing for businesses and trying to help them, grow if they're looking at succession planning or growth planning. So we can work through all of that. We also help with financing and finding opportunities of relocation, maybe, different projects like that. But on the community side, we certainly help with, grant writing for Parks and Rec and making sure that the community is really well-rounded. Making sure that we have housing for all different age levels, and just providing, a good experience for our residents and for the businesses that are coming here, a business-friendly environment as well.
What are some of the events? Because not everybody's going to move to Castleton, although you could.
Yeah.
I would highly recommend it. But what are some of the reasons that you should visit Castleton?
Well, Casselton's big summer event is Summerfest, which is the last weekend in July. And it really kicks off Thursday with the Swanks Car Show. It's huge. It's so neat to see. It fills downtown, and this would be a great location actually to be able to see it. But you can see just fills several blocks with cars, and the group kind of runs itself, but it's a well-oiled machine. It's been going on for a long time. But there are a lot of other fun events throughout the weekend as well. But also, the Castleton Business Association has a few other events that they're working on. We last year started a Halloween trick-or-treat event to get kids to come out downtown and just have a safe place where we can, our business owners can kind of get to know those families. And that's kind of part of that small town experience that we're looking for.
And I bet it's so much fun then for the adults and the kids just to see each other and say hi and see so many people all together, gathered together.
Yeah, definitely. And if you are a commuter, you maybe don't see those business owners all the time. So getting the residents in front of those businesses and having them share that experience is really fun for both parties.
I would say even if there's not a specific event, Castleton is worth visiting. I love Castleton Drug and the restaurants. There's a lot of good restaurants here.
Yeah, there's
It's hard
sure
to pick
are.
from, yeah.
Yeah, we're pretty lucky, and you're right. Casselton Drug has some really cute offerings too, and I was so surprised the first time I stepped foot in there. It's almost like a boutique that, for ladies' clothing or baby gifts. There's so many fun things.
Yeah, I definitely shopped for my grandchildren there, so yeah, highly recommend it. So thank you, Melissa, for joining us, and we'll be right back with Ladies of Another View coming to you from Castleton, North Dakota.
My hometown of Castleton is brought to you in part by Women's Way, Z's Grub and Pub, Legacy Learning and Preschool Center. SB&B is a global food-grade soybean leader grounded by the values and insight of a fifth-generation U.S. family farm. We challenge the way food-grade soybeans were raised, creating new market opportunities for our neighbors. As a leader in the food safety movement, SB&B provides traceable and safe food products to customers around the world. SB&B is the most trusted connection between U.S. soybean growers and global consumers of soybean products. Join the food soybean movement today by visiting our website at www.sb-b.com. My hometown of Castleton is brought to you in part by Cass County Mutual Insurance Company, Casselton Drug and Floral, Piper Tax Services.
Hey y'all, it's Trent on the loose. Travel the country with Trent on the loose, and we'll find those interesting human interest stories behind the people that bring us the efficient food supply. Trent on the loose.
My hometown of Castleton is brought to you in part by Dalrymple Farms, Maple River Grain and Agronomy, Weber Insurance Agency.
Honesty, loyalty, integrity. At Bank North, we've remained true to these values for generations. They shape the way we do business, work with customers, and support our communities. We've been here for more than a century, helping people grow farms and businesses, finance homes, and pursue their dreams. It's values-based banking, and it's all about working together to strengthen the common threads that bind us together. Bank North, always true.
Now you can have the personalized forecast at your fingertips when you need it. Beck's exclusive Weather Insight is information tailored to you. Radar, weather alerts, forecasts, and videos. Download the free Weather on Beck News app. Search your app store now.
Flag flies. Courgette wants the home run ball to JT Stokes. First two drives. Courgette looking deep. He's got Harvey. Courgette wants his second touchdown pass. Give it to him. Look at end zone. Did he come down with it?
My hometown of Castleton is brought to you in part by True Core Fitness, Egveris, Days Inn Hotel and Governor's Water Park, RV Park and Fitness Center.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View, coming to you from Casselton, North Dakota. And I'm here with Bernie Sinner. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Patty.
And he is the Senior Lending Officer with Bank North. Did I get that right?
Yes.
And also fourth generation Casselton resident, which is why I want you on to talk about history. And you told me a few times, like, well, I'm not necessarily an expert, but fourth generation, and you've been in this community for a while. So I really wanted to get just a regular person living here and talking about some of the history of Casselton. Can you tell me how Casselton came to be?
Well, I wasn't here at the beginning, so I haven't been here quite that long, Patty. But no, I think Castleton is one of the many railroad towns that popped up when the railroad came through in the late 1800s through North Dakota. And I think I understand that they needed to have water about every 7 miles, and so Castleton is one of those places that there was both a north and southbound train in the east-west, then the Burlington Northern that's now a very active line. But that's originally what put Casselton sort of in its spot and where it is here on the prairie today. I think the other piece that was a common reason for people to gather was the agricultural land that was beginning to be farmed, the bonanza farms and things. You know, they needed to have a hub for the flow of supplies, whether it was the seed being planted or the harvest of that grain. At harvest time, it needed to be shipped out.
Tell me, for people that aren't familiar, what does bonanza farm mean? Why is it called that?
You know, I don't know about the origin of the name, but there were these very large wheat farms that were square miles of wheat fields, and these huge crews, mostly horse-drawn equipment, that would come and harvest these large tracts of wheat fields, and they were called bonanza farms, but they were really just mass production of wheat and other grains that kind of became to be a thing in this area because of the land being so suited to that type of agricultural production, very flat, very fertile soil.
And agriculture still is a big part of Casselton today, right?
It really is. The economic engine of the community has really always been agriculture. We have strong equipment dealerships here. We have the grain merchandisers. We have an ethanol plant that captures, the use of the corn that's being grown in this area for further development of that product. A lot of the business that's done here is either directly tied to or very closely tied to agriculture production.
And some of the roots of Casselton that I think is amazing news, and it's what attracted my attention to Casselton, is 5 governors have come from Casselton. And the population is like 2,000, right? But 5 governors from one city. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, yeah, it is interesting. A population of about 2,600 now. It's grown quite a bit in the last couple of decades. But we've had 5 governors in the state's history of maybe 39 or 40 governors to have come from here. And so the second governor of North Dakota was from Casselton. Andrew Burke was his name. William Langer was the next one. He was a farmer, grew up in a farm family, just kind of east and west of Castleton, very close though, and lived in Castleton. William Guy in the 60s from this area, George Sinner in the 80s, my uncle.
Yeah, okay.
And then Jack Dalrymple, a neighbor farmer who still lives in the area as well. So yeah, that's a little bit of a unique situation to have had 5 come from such a small town.
And when people that I know heard that I was going to do a show on Castleton, they said, "What's going on?" And we talked about it on the phone. Like, why do you have that kind of character in Castleton that 5 governors would be coming from here, from such a small area? What do you think's going on?
A good question. And, I wouldn't necessarily characterize the community as being overly politically active, but I would characterize it as being kind of driven by solid leadership. And I think that leadership, a solid focus on education, those are the kinds of things that I think create additional leaderships or more leaderships. When you have mentors like that in your life, you look at that as sort of a normal event rather than an anomaly to have someone that would go on to serve the state rather than maybe the community. But public service, I think, was a common theme for a lot of us that grew up here. And maybe the proximity to Fargo. So we have access to the educational systems that are even larger. The state's first agricultural college, being NDSU, is 20 minutes from here. That agricultural piece has been an important part of North Dakota for the entire state's history as well. So that combination of maybe having direct ties to production agriculture, close proximity to education, and maybe a culture of leadership and maybe self-reliance a little bit too, that if you want to impact change, there's a way to do that, and that's by getting involved.
And that anything's possible. When you have governors coming from here, it's like, yeah, well, here's one of my possible career goals is to politics and to be a leader. And like you said, with all that agriculture, that people have to be hardworking and rely on themselves. So that's a big part of it too. And you came from an agriculture family, right?
I did, yeah. I grew up on a farm just east of town, and my great-grandfather had come from Luxembourg to be, I think he was probably chasing that opportunity with the Bonanza Farms and worked for a farm for a while, and then it began to acquire his own land base, and that's that family that continues to farm that land. I'm from a fairly large family, and so I had to seek employment somewhere else and I wanted to be able to stay tied to agriculture in a way that was meaningful, and that's kind of what brings me to my current role as the president and senior lending officer of Bank North. Bank North is a local family-owned business that is really tied to production agriculture as well. But I left the area for a while and learned a little bit about the banking trade and came back. Been back now for over 30 years back in Castleton, and really proud to say that this is a hometown that I grew up in, but I'm here on purpose and not by default. It's a great place to raise a family and continue that, that look into the agricultural world, all the integration of technology today, and all the room we have for further growth in agriculture is happening in places like Casselton. And I think that's what's exciting about being here today with all that history, is that it's still relevant in the future as well.
Right, yeah, it continues as part of the personality, and you did leave and come back, and that says a lot about the community too, that you didn't have to be here, you wanted to be here.
Very much so.
Yeah, thanks so much for being on today, Bernie, and we'll be right back with Ladies of Another View on Beck.
My hometown of Castleton is brought to you in part by Bank North, Castleton Economic Development, Castleton Veterinary Service.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jill Clemene. I'm a family medicine physician and also work in the breast specialty clinic. We typically see patients with any concerns with their breasts, lumps, bumps, rashes, pain, anything. I really care about women here in North Dakota and feel so strongly about these women really taking the best care of themselves, and part of that is getting breast cancer screening on a yearly basis. If you're a healthcare provider, help save a life and make a Women's Way connection. Many women are eligible, and you can help connect them to Women's Way.
My hometown of Castleton is brought to you in part by Thoroldson Ethanol, SB&B, Rehab for Life Physical and Occupational Therapy. SB&B is a global food-grade soybean leader grounded by the values and insight of a fifth-generation U.S. family farm. We challenge the way food-grade soybeans were raised, creating new market opportunities for our neighbors. As a leader in the food safety movement, SB&B provides traceable and safe food products to customers around the world. SB&B is the most trusted connection between U.S. soybean growers and global consumers of soybean products. Join the food soybean movement today by visiting our website at www.sb-b.com. My hometown of Castleton is brought to you in part by Pfeiffer's Auction and Realty and Land Management, Casselton Lumber, Gordy's Service Center and Travel Plaza.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell. Cancel culture has not only affected myself and my pillow, but millions of you out there. Before all this started, I had already written in my memoir, I dedicate this book to anyone that's looking for hope. Well, right now, we're all looking for hope. I believe that my story is going to bring inspiration and hope to everyone. By the time you're done reading my book, you will believe that with God, all things are possible. To thank you all for your support, I'm offering some of my best prices ever on my pillow products, including this exclusive bundle. You get my book and these 5 My Pillows. They all have beautiful scenes and verses from the Bible, such as Isaiah 41:10. Do not fear, for I am with you. This 6-pack bundle is regularly $219. Now it's just $99.98 and free shipping with your promo code. Go to mypillow.com and use the promo code on your screen or call the 1-800 number below. Thank you and God bless.
My hometown of Castleton is brought to you in part by Cottonwood Golf Course of Castleton, Haugen Attachments, Red Baron Lounge and Pizza Pub.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View. I'm back, and we're coming to you from Casselton, North Dakota, and I'm here with Heidi Domeyer. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Oh, I have a long page of notes on you, so we have a lot to talk about. She's actually a customer success account manager at Microsoft,
Correct.
And you can also be called the founder and president for the Central Cass Treehouse. We're going to get into that, but first I want to talk about your community project that you headed up for the Willow Park. Tell me, what was the problem and what did you do about it?
Absolutely. So we live in Willow Bend, which is a new development in Castleton. So we moved here about 10 years ago, my family, my husband, and I have 2 boys, a 7th grader and a 5th grader. And we moved over there, and there's a terrific playground area and a man-made lake on that side. But we started noticing as our kids grew that there was a lack of additional area that was safe and inclusive play for kids who were more in a middle school or early high school area. And so we kind of went to the Park District and said, you know, we'd like to do a private fundraising effort on behalf of the Park District to create a safe and inclusive area for those kids to play. So what we did is in 4 months, we raised almost $80,000 to support the project across the community. And it'll have a full basketball court, a sledding hill. We're putting in a baseball backstop. And what we're really creating is some beautiful green space for these kids to go and play and have fun while still being able to be in close proximity to their homes.
And to support the families that are here, because those cute little playgrounds are wonderful, but what about these older kids? And I love that you said, hey, we got a problem, here's a solution, and in 4 months you raised $80,000?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah, it was an amazing project, and we were really happy that we received so much support from the community. It was wonderful. And so they started development work already before winter, and then they'll finish it here in the spring. So it's been exciting to see it from start to finish.
What kind of fundraising did you do? Because I'm sure there's other people watching with their pet projects and like, hey, how do they make this work?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a big believer in using social media from a positivity standpoint, and it's just a great way to get our message out and tell people what we're trying to accomplish. So we utilize that. We also did some mailing efforts across the community, especially in the area of Willow Bend, just to get the information out and tell people like this is a project that supports all of us and supports our neighbors and our friends and our kids who need a safe place to play. And we really people just poured in with support.
That's amazing. So talking about technology,
Yes.
perfect lead-in for the Treehouse app. This is unique, and I want it
Yes.
to go nationwide. Tell us what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Central Cass Treehouse has been in creation for 2 years in Castleton, and what we are is an on-campus pantry at the Central Cass School, and we provide food, hygiene, clothing, winter gear, school supplies for students. But we put a little bit of a twist on it. My husband and I come from a tech background, and we said, I think it'd be really amazing to reduce shame and stigma of asking for help if we utilize technology. So we created an app that's available on iOS and Android, so to empower our middle school and high school students to tell us about any physical, mental, or social need. So the students can actually use the app to request things out of our on-campus pantry, and it gets delivered to their locker during class time, so nobody ever sees. So it's just like an
This is
Amazon
amazing.
cart. Thank you.
So they can realize there's a need. Oh my gosh, I need
Yeah.
this, or I forgot this. And they
Yeah.
can go to the app and
Yeah.
go to their locker, and there it is.
Exactly, and it's all anonymous. So when
Wow.
we created the Central Cass Treehouse, we wanted to partner with the community but leverage the confidentiality at the school. So, and it really came about from hearing stories in the community of students coming to school without their basic needs met, and amazing administrators and teachers here at Central Cass who were trying to meet those needs out of their own personal finances. And I said, I think if the community knew that we had this kind of need and they had a platform in which to give, they would just blow us away with support, and they have. So we actually, as the Central Cass Treehouse, never know who we're serving. So we partner with the community, they provide the things we need, we identify gaps and provide communication back to the community about those, and then we make everything readily available for the students and the administrators and the teachers at Central Cass. So, but then leveraging technology to empower these middle school and high schoolers to get the things they need without having to have the shame and stigma of having to ask.
And nobody knows.
Yep,
You know,
nobody knows.
because they're in class, something shows up in their locker, and there they
Exactly.
go. And what else, besides like personal hygiene,
Mm-hmm.
food, school supplies? I saw on the list of like proms.
Yeah, so right now we do food baskets for any break longer than 3 days. We do gifts at Christmas time. We have free feminine hygiene product in every middle school and high school girls' bathroom. We have athletic totes that we provide food for food insecure athletes for every season, every sport. Just really anything that we think supports a student and helps meet their basic need for whatever that may be at Central Cass. So it goes beyond food and hygiene. Additionally, within the app, we also have mental health features. So
Okay, yeah.
students can tell us about a mental health emergency or a physical emergency. They can schedule time with a high school or middle school counselor. They can tell us if they're worried about a friend, and they can talk and text with FirstLink. And really, all we've done is really create a platform that puts, the solution in the student's hands, but it's really overlaying what the state already offers from a mental health and a physical health perspective for emergency and non-emergency.
Tell us a little bit about the mental health. You and I talked on the phone about this. But
Right.
it's a serious problem, and this is a way to help address it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think sometimes people don't know quite where to go or what they should do when they're having some mental health struggles. And obviously with COVID and some of the things we've experienced in the last 2 years, that's been continuing and growing, especially in our youth. So we really wanted to reduce the shame and stigma and really empower our students to have access to the tools that they need, and to also kind of let us know what's going on and how we can help. So if you're worried about a friend and, that goes to a counselor, it isn't so much to target a student as it is to place a trusted adult in their path to ensure that they really are okay. And if they're not, that we're getting them the help that they need.
And so this really does support families and students and parents too, because
Yep.
sometimes you want to help your kid and they may not be coming and telling you about
Right.
their problems. So you've created an avenue for them to get support.
Absolutely, and a lot of the students have wonderful relationships with teachers and administrators at the Central Cass School, and that is wonderful. And this is just an additional tool to kind of help them along their way to make sure that they're getting what they need.
And it doesn't interfere with the relationship with parents. I think some people might be worried about, like, wait a minute, what's going on? This is
Right.
anonymous, but you're not doing that. Yeah.
We're actually not working directly with parents, we're working directly with the school. So whether a student identifies a need and brings that to a teacher or administrator, or whether a teacher and administrator identify the need and work to assist the student, it can work in whatever way that works best, but we work directly with student as opposed to working with parent.
How do the students learn about this? Is this like, back to school day, here's the app,
Yes. Yeah, so on back to school, we had, every teacher, when they did their back to school meetings with teachers, with parents and students, that they went over kind of the platform and talked about, how they can leverage it. We're doing a mental health wellness day here in a couple weeks at the school, and we'll also be addressing again with the students, but we put marketing on the back of the bathroom doors. We really want students to know that this is available to them and they can use it whenever they need, whether it's one time or whether it's 1,000 times. Because we really believe that if we meet the basic need of a student, physically, mentally, or socially, that we put them in a better position, to potentially be academically successful, and hopefully that leads to them finishing high school, furthering their education, and potentially becoming financially independent.
This is such an amazing program, and it started in Castleton. Do you have hopes for it to grow?
Yeah, absolutely. We've had 2 conversations with the state of North Dakota and hoping for a third. We'd really love to see this be an education platform standard for the state of North Dakota, because we really do think that the technology, is the only scalable option for our rural communities and our large, cities across the state.
And we have viewers across the country, so I have a feeling you're going to be hearing from them because
Absolutely. Give me a call.
Yeah, what a great way to support our students. So thanks, Heidi, for joining us. And stay tuned. We'll be right back with Ladies of Another View coming to you from Casselton, North Dakota.
My hometown of Castleton is brought to you in part by True Core Fitness, Egveris, Days Inn Hotel and Governor's Water Park, RV Park and Fitness Center.
Hi, I'm Kirsty Hintz. I'm an RN at Bismarck-Burley Public Health, and I'm a local coordinator for the Women's Way program of North Dakota. Women's Way is a program that offers breast and cervical cancer screenings to eligible women in North Dakota. I love that I get to help women every day and really make it easy for them to get these screenings that really could save their lives. Getting screened is a great way for you to take care of yourself and be there for your family and those you love.
My hometown of Castleton is brought to you in part by Dalrymple Farms, Maple River Grain and Agronomy, Weber Insurance Agency. SB&B is a global food-grade soybean leader grounded by the values and insight of a 5th-generation U.S. family farm. We challenge the way food-grade soybeans were raised, creating new market opportunities for our neighbors. As a leader in the food safety movement, SB&B provides traceable and safe food products to customers around the world. SB&B is the most trusted connection between U.S. soybean growers and global consumers of soybean products. Join the food soybean movement today by visiting our website at www.sb-b.com.
Parents, listen up. Here's what your kids are being taught in public school, that there's no difference at all between boys and girls, that every white person is racist, and so is math. Supporting Black Lives Matter and social justice is more important than reading and writing, and thanks to Joe Biden, teachers unions just got tens of billions of dollars in COVID cash to push all this in front of your kids.
That's right, and we want to make sure you not only stay informed, but have the tools to fight back. So watch the Dr. Duke Show weekdays at 2:30 p.m. Central Time on Beck TV.
My hometown of Castleton is brought to you in part by Cass County Mutual Insurance Company, Casselton Drug and Floral, Piper Tax Services.
We are rewriting Hollywood's script for our kids. I'm pop culture expert Tina Griffin, and as a former Hollywood actress, I'm giving you a behind-the-scenes look at how today's entertainment is eroding the foundational development of America's youth and how to safely navigate this pop culture chaos. Knowledge is power. Parents want solutions. It's time to get the power back in your hands and reclaim the right to decide who and what should influence your kids.
Weekdays at 2 p.m. Central Time on Beck TV. My hometown of Castleton is brought to you in part by Women's Way, Z's Grub and Pub, Legacy Learning and Preschool Center.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View, my hometown version, coming to you from Casselton, North Dakota. And I am joined by Morgan Fornes, who is the superintendent of Central Cass School, public school.
That's correct.
And when I was here visiting earlier, you took me on a tour, and oh my goodness, what a school!
Well, thank you.
Yeah, and I can just tell your personality and energy just rubs off on everybody that we came across in the hallway. But tell us about the school, because it's not your typical public school.
No, it's really the largest Class B school in the state at the present time. Originally, Castleton High School was specific to the city itself, but through consolidations and things like that, there's actually 5 former schools that make up the Central Cass public school system today. So there's surrounding communities in rural Cass County that are part of our district. And as a result, we've become a fairly large and growing district, I think for two reasons. One, the community itself is close to the metro area, and there's people moving out into this area. And I think the second reason is people value the rural environment and the culture of this place and really want to raise their family here.
Because some of them can choose, right?
That's correct.
And they choose Casselton. But this school, oh my goodness, it's like a little science center. Tell me about some of the amenities.
Well, about 5 years ago, we took on a master planning process, and the school was originally built back in the 1990s to a capacity of in the 700s. And over the last 2 decades, the enrollment has slowly creeped up, and we were really cramped for space. So as a part of the master planning, not only did we look at how do we expand the academic classrooms and the spaces for learning, but also how do we provide broader community opportunities for kids and really creating a new model of learning as kids need to deal with the realities of the 21st century. Jobs are different, careers change rapidly, and we needed to do some things differently. So as a result, we took on a vote for a referendum, and we passed an $18 million referendum to expand classroom spaces. We added an elementary school for our lower elementary grades. We remodeled many of our current academic spaces. We added a STEM center that really provided for collaborative learning and project-based learning environments. And then we also expanded into our music and our arts and added a theater that we did not have in the previous school years. So provided many opportunities to really take that educational standard to a next level, and I think it's been really good for our kids.
How did you accomplish this? You mentioned that the plan called for like about $18 million. That was the estimate. Where did all the money come from?
Well, I have to credit the community. First of all, the project itself ended up being about $30 million. But I think, there was this mindset that we have to work together to make Central Cass Public School the place that could meet the needs of kids, but also provide it as a resource for the broader community. So we took on a pretty much of a hybrid. We passed a referendum, which is funded through tax dollars, and then we took on a fundraising effort that in my lifetime, I've never seen anything like it. We raised over $8 million in private funding that supported some of the extra things that we did. Some of those were the theater, the STEM center was funded through private donations, certain sponsorships, and then we also added athletic fields and extra space for activities as well. Our student population trend shows rapid growth. We added over 200 students in the last 5 years, and we are currently over 1,000 students in our pre-K through 12. And we anticipate another 100 to 200 students in the next 5 years. So we wanted to be proactive rather than reactive. But getting back to the funding, I have never seen a community come together like they did with private donors, city involvement, collaboration with the Parks and Rec, the business community stepping to the plate, and really everybody giving a little, but at the end of the day, getting a lot. And that is really good for our kids and our families.
And a totally state-of-the-art school. I was there and peeked in on the theater, and there was, I think, a group putting on a play that had to do with finances and helping the kids understand how, the financial system works. And it was so energetic. And like I said, it looks like a little science center. The STEM center looks like a place you would go to visit with your kids. And tell me about the fitness center, because the community has access to that, right?
It does. One of the things that we realized is we needed to provide healthy opportunities for our kids to stay physically active. And we did not really have a weight room other than just an old classroom that was utilized. And we thought, why not do it in a manner that could provide student access to a wellness center or a fitness center or a weight room, but go beyond that. And whether it's young people, male or female athletics, or the community as a whole, we put in a cardio lab with all the equipment that we received through a grant. And we also have the traditional weight room for your football team and so on and so forth. And then the city contributed to that along with the Parks and Rec. So we have memberships, and we provide memberships to our staff. Our students use the thing from sun up to sundown, and certainly it's used by the school as well. But we thought instead of having it stand empty, let's make it available.
Wow.
And it's very reasonable, and it's really been a good thing for our students in particular, but the community as a whole.
I love how open you are to the community. It's not like, hey, this is the school, community not welcome. And there is an amazing fitness center in town too, True Core, because I went and visited there too. It's as amazing as anything you find in a big city. But then here the school, I mean, to have a fitness-minded community, because you have a couple of different options there. And the theater is open up to the community too, right? How is that used?
It's used a lot. COVID presented some challenges for us, but it seats almost 800 people, and it's used, for our own programming, concerts and plays and things like that. But it's also rented out by community members, and whether they're holding a conference or guest speakers, concerts, things like that. And again, why not utilize it throughout the community? Our goal here is really collaboration and partnership, because the silo approach it doesn't work. And we want to be the best place for kids academically, but we also want to be a part of the community so that we are considered one of the best places to be a young person, but to also raise a family. And the school's a big part of that.
Yeah, and so I love that the community, because everybody is benefiting. It wasn't just for the students, but their parents and musical arts and sports and just all the way around. So thank you, Morgan, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll be right back with Ladies of Another View, coming to you from Casselton, North Dakota.
My hometown of Castleton is brought to you in part by Cottonwood Golf Course of Castleton, Haugen Attachments, Red Baron Lounge and Pizza Pub.
For women who give their all for others every day, it's easy for self-care to get lost in the shuffle. Regular breast cancer screenings save lives. Take care of your loved ones by taking care of your health. Talk to your healthcare provider about a breast cancer screening today.
My hometown of Castleton is brought to you in part by Pfeiffer's Auction and Realty and Land Management, Casselton Lumber, Gordy's Service Center and Travel Plaza.
I'm Rick Becker.
And I'm Lori Hins.
Welcome to No Apologies, your after-hours oasis of sanity.
Your retreat begins at 9 Central on Beck News and online at beck.news.
Now you can have the personalized forecast at your fingertips when you need it. Beck's exclusive Weather Insight is information tailored to you. Radar, weather alerts, forecasts, and videos. Download the free Weather on Beck News app. Search your app store now. My hometown of Casselton is brought to you in part by Thoroldson Ethanol, SB&B, Rehab for Life Physical and Occupational Therapy. SB&B is a global food-grade soybean leader, grounded by the values and insight of a fifth-generation U.S. family farm. We challenge the way food-grade soybeans were raised, creating new market opportunities for our neighbors. As a leader in the food safety movement, SB&B provides traceable and safe food products to customers around the world. SB&B is the most trusted connection between U.S. soybean growers and global consumers of soybean products. Join the food soybean movement today by visiting our website at www.sb-b.com.
Hi, everybody. I'm Doug Billings, host of The Right Side with Doug Billings, where we take great joy every day in entering into your lives at key moments to make differences for the better. That's how we fulfill the meaning of life. You can see me on Beck TV and Beck.news. Cheers.
My hometown of Casselton is brought to you in part by Bank North, Casselton Economic Development, Castleton Veterinary Service.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View, my hometown, coming to you from Castleton, North Dakota. And I am joined with Steve and Stacy Link. And there's a lot to say about what is going on, but let's start with the fact that Steve is a broker with Pfeiffer Auction and Realty.
That's correct.
And together, they are developing homes and selling land with Eastview Development and Link Built Homes.
Yep.
Thanks for coming onto the show, because what you're doing is so exciting and so needed. When I visited with businesses, I heard so often that we need more homes, we need more housing, and you're making it happen, right?
We're trying. Yep. We started this venture probably 7-8 years ago. Well, we moved to town. How many years ago did we move to town?
We came to Castleton in 2003.
So 2003.
Where did you come from?
We are farm kids from West Central Minnesota.
But you are related. You're a grandson of Governor Art Link, right, Steve?
Yep. And so the whole aura of this being a town of former governors, I thought, well, maybe I should check it out. And no, in all reality, as you've had the guests before us talk about Castleton, it was pretty easy for Stacy and I to be attracted to a town like this because we grew up in a small town. We like the fact that the school is the size that it is and has the amenities that we have. But I have the superintendent's cell phone number, and so if I need to call him and ask him a question, I can do that at any given time. The same with the people at the city and the people that are in the community. You know, we're all friends and family. The churches in this community are really strong, and that's important to us. And the fire department and all the other services that we have are really, really strong. And so it was really easy for us to choose to come to Castleton.
And that says a lot about the community because you didn't have to come here, but you wanted to. And not only that, but you're developing it so other people can come here too. So what's behind you creating new homes, cottage homes, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. So I get around the state a lot with being a broker and selling land throughout the state. And when you come back to Castleton, you found that niche that was kind of missing, where it was where there was housing, there was new houses, big houses for big families going up, and there was older houses that maybe weren't set up for people that wanted to have single story living. And so, that's where Stacy and I got together and we started talking about, well, what could this land that we own on the east side of town really be best suited for? And Stacy really came up with a wonderful floor plan with a single floor amenities that we had, and we created an association so people could live there, have the snow removal taken care of, the lawn care being taken care of, and now we're in the mix of building them, and Stacy's doing a great job managing those projects too.
What went into planning? Go ahead.
Initially we thought that we would be catering to people wanting to downsize from their large homes, but not leave the community. We kept hearing that. And during this process, which has taken us some time because we don't do anything quickly, we like to think things out really well, we just heard that it wasn't just the case of people wanting to downsize, just people wanted maybe a smaller home, with the amenities. And so we're catering to not just a select few, but to a greater group of people. So.
And you have 2 and 3 bedroom homes with 2 and 3 baths.
Mm-hmm. They all have the same footprint is the same, but you do have the options of either having that upstairs with the third bedroom, 3rd bathroom, and another living space, along with heated floors and some luxury amenities. So.
I think when people move to a town, they don't often think about how does everything work together? It's a little bit of a juggling act, right? Because you bring people in, but then where are they going to live? And then you want to still take care of the elderly population or just the older ones and still bring young people in. So I suppose there's a little bit of a risk maybe for you, or that you were speculating that, okay, I hope people come because we're going to build these homes?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's why we started out with building one, and so we have that one done, and a family lives in that, or a couple lives in that house that we already got done, and now we're building the next 2. And but the lots, we started out with 12 lots, and we sold eight of those, and they all have homes on it and have families on it, and so you know, when you talk about the school growing, you need new development, new houses for those families to go into. And then if there are people from Castleton that are buying and building, then hopefully that turns an older home available for somebody else that wants to come in. But you really look at the real estate dynamics in Castleton, the inventory is really tight. There typically, over the last months, there's only been 1 or 2 houses for sale at a time, and there's way more demand than there is supply, and so houses don't stay on the market very long. The rural farmsteads, the same thing. There's a lot of demand for that. People want to have acreage and room to spread out and such, and there's not a lot of availability there either. Usually farmsteads stay on the market over a weekend at the most.
Wow. You know, I did hear that from people, because a lot of times people will say, oh, it's a bedroom community of this bigger city. But in reality, there are people from Fargo that drive here to work, and they want to move here, and they're just waiting for those homes to become available. So that is a really good situation to be in.
You know, in North Dakota, the population is such is people will work out of the eastern part of the state, but they'll work all over, and it's easy to get to Bismarck from Castleton, and it's easy to get to Valley City or go north or south and work all over. And so we're really, the location that Castleton is, we're just far enough away to really be special.
And what are you seeing with people moving here? Are they returning? Are they coming here for the first time? What's going on?
Yeah, you know, that's funny when we talk to our friends, because you don't always know their history and where they're from, and did they grow up here, or did they not grow up, and it's a really mix. There's some that are lifelong Castleton people that went away for school and have come back and lived, and there's others that are from other small towns in North Dakota and Minnesota that have chosen to move here for the same reason that Stacy and I have moved here.
Well, it's funny because you do have roots here. You did have a grandfather that was an uncle, but you didn't live here, right?
No, yeah. So my grandfather was governor of North Dakota, but he was from Western North Dakota, and so he was a Western North Dakotan governor, and like I said, he was friends with all the well, not all the governors, but a couple of the governors that were recently from Castleton, and so it's been that fun dynamic to get to know them and their lineage and their families. This is really a special place.
And your grandmother is still alive, 103 years old, wife of Governor Art Link.
Yes. Yeah, wow. She is special, and so every September we celebrate her birthday, and we're always in shock that 103, and she speaks really well, and you can have a conversation with her, and we just love visiting with her and going out to Bismarck and spending time with her. It's a lot of fun.
Wow, that is exciting. Well, if you want to come to Castleton because you've heard of what a great community is, get a hold of Steve and Stacy, and they'll hook you up with a new home. But thanks for joining us today. It's been so great talking with some of the people from Castleton, and we'll be back again tomorrow with Ladies of Another View on Beck.
Honesty, loyalty, integrity. At Bank North, we've remained true to these values for generations. They shape the way we do business, work with customers, and support our communities. We've been here for more than a century, helping people grow farms and businesses, finance homes, and pursue their dreams. It's values-based banking, and it's all about working together to strengthen the common threads that bind us together. Bank North, always true.
SBNB is a global food-grade soybean leader grounded by the values and insight of a fifth-generation U.S. family farm. We challenge the way food-grade soybeans were raised, creating new market opportunities for our neighbors. As a leader in the food safety movement, SBNB provides traceable and safe food products to customers around the world. SBNB is the most trusted connection between U.S. soybean growers and global consumers of soybean products. Join the food soybean movement today by visiting our website at www.sb-b.com. Now you can have the personalized forecast at your fingertips when you need it. Beck's exclusive Weather Insight is information tailored to you. Radar, weather alerts, forecasts, and videos. Download the free Weather on Beck News app. Search your app store now.
Hi, everybody. I'm Doug Billings, host of The Right Side with Doug Billings, where we take great joy every day in entering into your lives at key moments to make differences for the better. That's how we fulfill the meaning of life. You can see me on Beck TV and Beck.News. Cheers.
Parents, listen up. Here's what your kids are being taught in public school, that there's no difference at all between boys and girls, that every white person is racist, and so is math. Supporting Black Lives Matter and social justice is more important than reading and writing, and thanks to Joe Biden, teachers unions just got tens of billions of dollars in COVID cash to push all this in front of your kids.
That's right, and we want to make sure you not only stay informed, but have the tools to fight back. So watch the Dr. Duke Show weekdays at 2:30 p.m. Central Time on Beck TV.
Hey y'all, it's Trent on the loose. I'm a sixth-generation farmer, husband, patriot, father. And as much as I'd love to just sit here under this shade tree and celebrate my own place on my front porch, truth of the matter is that people don't know who, where, and how is producing their food. So travel the country with Trent on the loose, and we'll find those interesting human interest stories behind the people that bring us the efficient food supply. Trent on the loose.
Hi, everybody. I'm Doug Billings, host of The Right Side with Doug Billings, where we take great joy every day in entering into your lives at key moments to make differences for the better. That's how we fulfill the meaning of life, folks. I have the high-profile guests that you want to hear from The Right Side. I also have truth, honesty, morality, God. We have it all on our side. We also take a lot of joy in pointing out the intellectual immaturity of liberals everywhere. You can see me on Beck TV and Beck.News. Cheers.
We are rewriting Hollywood's script for our kids. I'm pop culture expert Tina Griffin, and as a former Hollywood actress, I'm giving you a behind-the-scenes look at how today's entertainment is eroding the foundational development of America's youth and how to safely navigate this pop culture chaos. Knowledge is power. Parents want solutions. It's time to get the power back in your hands and reclaim the right to decide who and what should influence your kids.
Weekdays at 2 p.m. Central Time on Beck TV.
Welcome to No Apologies, your after-hours oasis of sanity. God, your ego is so tiny and fragile. I'm Rick Becker.
And I'm Lori Hins.
Make no mistake, folks, we lost. Again, we lost the war in Afghanistan. Dynamic. There's nothing wrong with rattling the cages of the old guard.
Your retreat begins at 9 Central on Beck News and online at Beck.News.